Welcome to your USC Michigan preview presented by Prize Picks and Ari. This is the first really big game of the new Big Ten. I could not be more excited about this game.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about USC potentially being back. Never thought I would say that a month ago. We have a new look Michigan with a quarterback change. This game is a first true road Big Ten game. But for USC fans, it's the first real big time Big Ten game. So I think this has basically everything you'd want outside of Michigan being undefeated, and a lot of questions to be answered and a lot of new things to see. I'm super excited for this game.
Well, let's start with one of the bigger questions in terms of who's playing in this game. So Colston Loveland, the tight end for Michigan, has been practicing, and that's something that everybody is probably wondering. This is Michigan's most dynamic pass catching target. Probably the would we agree that he's the best player individually on Michigan's offense?
I would think so, yeah. In terms of overall player, including line and running back and stuff, I think when Donovan Edwards is really humming, it's kind of hard to pick against him, but I think Loveland's the most consistent for sure.
Yeah, so we don't exactly know what role he'll play. Given what the Michigan coaches and players have said, it sounds like he's trying to go. So, we can talk about this in terms of Prize Picks, which, by the way, the most fun daily fantasy game in American history. Use the code STAPLES. You play $5, you get $50 instantly. And what you do is you pick squares. You've got players that are attached to squares. You can pick as few as 2. You can pick more than 2. And the more you pick, the higher the potential payout. So there is a Colston Loveland square, 0.5 rushing or receiving TDs, which if he plays, there's a chance he's going to score one. But you gotta feel pretty confident that he's going to play. I think the bigger question, those Alex Orji squares. So Michigan has changed starting quarterbacks. Davis Warren started the first couple of games. Alex Orji will start this game. And Alex Orji was the guy, Ari, that we thought most of the offseason would wind up being the starter. And this is a situation where probably they're going to run the ball more with Alex Orji as the starter rather than Davis Warren.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the Michigan rushing attack and who they lean on a lot, because I look at that square of 174.5 passing and rushing yards for Alex Orji, and that's a pretty alarming number, because if he doesn't have more than that at the end of this game, they're going to be in a
they're losing.
Yeah, I mean that's for both.
I honestly thought that was the pass total, but that is passing and rushing. Here's the thing. If he's actually really good in this game, there's a chance he could run for almost 100 yards.
Yeah. So when I first saw that too, I was like, is that just passing? That was so bizarre to me, but also too understandable, because if Michigan is going to lean on Mullings and Donovan Edwards, and they're going to hand the running backs the ball a lot, and they don't throw very much, then you might be in a position where that number isn't hit. So, if it's less than 174.5, Andy, I don't think there's any way that Michigan wins this football game.
But that's the thing. I'm tempted to hit the more on that because of the rushing total. His passing score is 127.5. I think if USC is not sound in its defense, here's the thing. The read option is like playing the old triple option, except there's 2 options instead of 3. And basically, if you have a dangerous quarterback and a dangerous running back, you have to have guys who can hit them both on every play. And what they're doing is they're reading one unblocked defender. And the second that unblocked defender makes a choice, then the ball is either given to the back or the quarterback keeps it and he's gone. If they make the choice to go hit Donovan Edwards and Khalil Mullings, Alex Orji is incredibly fast.
Oh, it's one misread away, or one good read, I should say, away from hitting an 80-yard run up the middle too. Because that's how that works. The wrong person bites at the person who doesn't have the football. You cut up field. If you have speed, you can get out there. So, yes, and I looking again, Andy, at Loveland's 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. Orji's passing touchdowns is 0.5 as well. So one's a demon. That's Loveland's, which means it's a little bit harder to hit. But if you want to give yourself more options and think that Alex Orji is going to pass for more than a half of one. That one gives you more of an escape hatch if you're on that square.
Which he has when he's been in. Like the first game, they threw him in there and he wasn't playing very much, but he threw a touchdown pass. So that's like, I get these vibes like Jalen Milroe at Alabama last season, where they didn't quite know what to do with him because Orji has a big arm, but it's not the most accurate. It's like Milroe, I think, has gotten more accurate as he's played more, but he can throw a deep ball. And if you are sucked up trying to deal with the run game, he can throw over the top of you. So there's a lot of weirdness here and a lot of unknown. Now let's move over to USC because I think there's a lot more known there. Miller Moss's number for passing yards is 260.5. I'm pretty confident a lot of the time in Miller Moss that he's going to hit a massive number. This time it's a little bit different because of the quality of Michigan's defense, because Will Johnson is sitting there locking down one receiver, and then you've got those two monster defensive tackles, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant, coming after you. But here's the thing about USC's offense. Those receivers are really athletic. Kyron Hudson, Zach Branch, like Will Johnson can only cover one at a time.
Absolutely. And USC's offense is good enough. It will get theirs. Like, I don't think that they're going to have the hardest time in the world scoring. I think Michigan's going to slow them down. Their defense is really good. But here's the number one thing that you have to take into account, which makes the rushing and receiving numbers really interesting here, is that the one criticism that you could have of USC and the build that Lincoln Riley has had there for the first few years is that they haven't recruited linemen very well. And I'm still on high alert to see how USC's offensive line stacks up with that nasty Michigan defensive line. So I don't know that I would be more keen to be hitting more than a lot on some of these rushing numbers here.
The Woody Marks numbers, although the Woody Marks 16.5 longest rush, I can see potentially being one that they overcome, because
I feel like I would probably be more
hit a
comfortable
big run.
I'd probably be more comfortable taking that than 81.5, because I'm sure he'll break off one or two runs in this game, but over the course of this game, is USC going to be able to wear Michigan's defense down? I question whether they'll be able to do that. Michael
Lance, their kicker, 6 kicking points. So if you go more than that, you're talking about 2 field goals and an extra point, or 4 extra points in a field goal. That one I feel pretty good about.
Andy, there is no story as old as time in you falling in love with kicker squares. Like, that's just your personality. I think you got to embrace it this year.
We were at the Alabama-Wisconsin game, and I had more than on the Wisconsin kicker. He kicks a field goal early in the game, and I'm like, I'm set, because there's no way they're getting in the end zone against this defense. They tried another field goal, he missed, and then the next time they got down near the red zone, they got in the end zone. So I don't know if you should trust me on kickers, but this is a hard game to predict. That's why I'm so excited to watch it, because Michigan's offense and how effective Alex Orji is going to determine how this goes.
Yeah, and that is the most interesting square, but also probably the most interesting dynamic of this game. The thing that's so funny to me is that we are fairly certain, I think, that USC's defense is much better than it was last year. We're fairly certain it's a good defense. But could you imagine if I would have showed you these squares a year ago with what we knew about that Michigan team, what we knew about this USC team, how much this wouldn't make sense? So it is like kind
Donovan Edwards more than, Khalil Mullings more than, everybody.
I would have just highlighted the whole page and just hit more than on all of them. But it is a nice revelation too of like how much can change year over year. But I'm excited to see if Michigan's a little bit better than we think they are, and I'm excited to see whether USC's defense is as good as I think they are. There's a lot to learn in this game, and it's a hell of a matchup for this big time Big Ten atmosphere.
We will see it in the big house. Remember, download Prize Picks, play $5, get $50 instantly. Use the code STAPLES. Also, if you're not as confident in all of your squares and would like to be confident in one of your squares at least, there's a Caleb Williams square. If he throws for a yard in the Bears game this weekend, then you win that square. Ari and I both used Caleb Williams squares to win plays last weekend. So it's there for you if you need it. Download Prize Picks, use the code STAPLES, play $5, get $50 instantly, and enjoy this game because it's going to be a banger.